All right. Today we're going to go over this presentation, Mastering the Written Test Taking Skills for the Promotional Process. Why this matters: promotional exams are competitive and high stakes. Written tests often cause anxiety, even for experienced firefighters, and this session will help you feel more confident, improve your test performance, and learn strategies that work. So our goal here is I don't like when we have a great potential officer going for a promotional assessment and he gets passed over because he just happens to be bad at taking tests. He knows the material, but his test taking skills he's never learned because we don't ever teach that. So that's this opportunity is for you to work on your skills as test taking. There is a process that we can learn and apply and hopefully make us better at our written tests. And this test taking process applies to all tests, not just promotional written exams like we're looking at here. What we'll cover: understanding the test format, common question types, test taking strategies, time management, reducing test anxiety, and practice tips. Know the test format. You got multiple choice, true, false, scenario based. Is it a timed exam? Is it open book? How many questions are there, and what's the passing score? So this all kind of gives you an idea of the realm that you're working in. So multiple choice is great because one of those four answers has to be your answer. You can't choose something else. If you're doing a math equation for a pump operations and the math doesn't meet the pressure given as one of the four options, then you did your math wrong, and that tells you pretty quickly. True, false, it's 50-50. You got to pick one. And then scenario based, you're just going to kind of work through the scenario and pick the best answer for what needs to happen next, generally. Most of our exams are going to be multiple choice, true, false, and then you're going to have scenario based questions. And they generally are going to be timed to some extent. Typically, it should give you plenty of time if you're maintaining and working through the test, as we're going to go over here in a little bit. And then your passing score can help you in that if your passing score is a 70 and there's a 100 question test, you know you can lose or miss on 30 questions and still pass. So as you're working through the test, if you know there's a question that you just can't answer, that's one of your 30. That is just a given. When you start getting down to you've had 20 of those and you only have 10 left, then you got to start being very specific on which ones you let go through. Common question types are recall, which you would have straight facts, application, applying the knowledge to a scenario, and analysis of choosing the best answer. Read carefully, look for keywords like most, least, not, and always. Strategy number 1, read the question carefully. Do not skim over the question. You want to read the question completely. Watch for negatives, such as which is not. Underline or mentally highlight the key words, and read all answer choices before selecting. So read your question. Look for those nots or onlys or best. Those key words are going to indicate how your answers apply. Sometimes you'll have an answer or two answers that are correct, but one of them is the better answer. And that's a big deal in National Registry. Read all of your answers. Even if you know 2 plus 2 is the question and 4 is the answer, still go ahead and look at those other answers just to be safe. Let's see here. Strategy number 2, eliminate wrong answers. Cross out obviously wrong choices, narrow down to 2, choose the best remaining option, and dictate. Distractors often sound technical, but are incorrect. So when you have so many questions or so many answers, and typically our questions have 4 answers in a multiple choice scenario. And so usually, I'd say 90% of the time, 2 of those are obviously wrong. You could throw them out immediately. You're left with 2 more to choose from. Now, all the test taking skills in the world can't help you pass a test if you don't understand the material. And that's what we're trying to gauge here through the test. The test, its purpose is to see how well you understand the material you're being tested upon. So You have to know the material. You throw out 2 immediately, the 2 left over, with your knowledge, you should be able to pick the 2 and get the best answer out of those. Strategy number 3, manage your time. Don't get stuck on one question. Mark and move on if unsure, and save time for review. Budget time per question, a 1 minute per question on a 50-question test. So you have a 60-question test and you have a 1 hour time limit. Then that is, you have 60 questions in 60 minutes. You have 1 minute per question. Now, on the surface, that sounds like you got to be moving. But if you stop and count to 60, you realize that 60 seconds is a good bit of time. Even better, if you come across a question that you understand and you immediately can answer that took you 3 seconds, that other 57 seconds is still applicable and can be applied to a tougher question down the road. You just don't want to get stuck on one question and spend 5 minutes on that one question, especially like if you're doing formulas. You don't want to realize that you just spent 5 minutes trying to figure out this formula and now you run out of time at the end, and that one question is preventing you from answering the last 10 because of the time limit. So if you're having that much difficulty on a question, if you can skip it and come back, great. If you can't and you have to give an answer and you can't come back to it later, give the answer. That's one of your 30 that's wrong, and just move on. Trust your gut sometimes. Strategy number 4. First instincts are often right, but change your answer if you find clear evidence. Don't second guess without a reason. The first thing that comes to your mind is typically the right answer. Your brain is smarter than you realize. And so your brain's going to give you that initial, this is it. And then you start to mess yourself up by overthinking. Go with the initial choice. And unless you see an obvious reason that that's wrong and you need to change it, which sometimes you get an answer to a question later on in other questions, you can come back and change it. Otherwise, use your gut, trust your gut, and answer the question with your first initial thing. Unless you know for a fact, sometimes, again, reading all your answers, the first answer is like, yes, that's right. And then you keep reading the other 3 answers, the third answer might be more right. And so you want to read all 3, make sure you're choosing the right one, and trust your gut. Strategy number 5, watch for absolutes. Words like always, never, only are often incorrect, and more flexible words like usually, may, and can are often correct. Be cautious with extreme language. So if you say always and never, you're locked in. It can't not happen because it always has to happen. Or if you say never, it can never happen because if you say never, that means no opportunities for it to happen. It never happens. However, you say usually, that keeps a window open for that instance to come in, or may kind of opens it up for that instance to come in. So the extreme language is always, never, only. Those are the ones that you want to watch for because it's very specific and it has no alternative options down the road. Reducing text anxiety. Test anxiety is a thing, 100%. But you can work to overcome it with practice. Prepare early. Practice under test conditions. Set up a timer. Go to AI and print out a test that AI creates for you. Say, hey, AI, create me a 50-question multiple choice and true-false test based off of XYZ textbook that you're studying or whatever class it is that you're taking. And then answer those questions with the timer of an hour. That's 50-question test. Take the test in an hour and then get used to doing that. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be. Get some good sleep. Make sure you're well rested. I say eat something not too heavy. You don't want to put you to sleep, but you don't want to get hungry in the middle of your test either. Breathe and stay calm. Confidence comes from preparation. Practice makes progress. Use practice tests like the ones we created. I'll have some listed below that you can use for the test that we're using in our promotional exam that's coming up. Review answer explanations. Study in short, focused sessions, and quiz each other at the station. So if you take a practice test and that test is one of these that gives you the right answer and the reason why you got the answer wrong, you want to study those and understand that better. Final tips: read the directions. Don't leave blanks unless penalized. Review your answers if time allows and stay positive. You've got this. So, again, I know it's kind of quick. If you can use these principles, go back and follow this again, study it, apply it, then I feel like you will be much better at taking tests. This is the procedures that I apply to all the tests that I take, eliminating the two obvious and then picking from the other two, making sure I understand the timeline that I have to get this done, and of course, understanding the material before I ever show up to the test. So good luck with it, and I hope you get promoted.